Hey, what's up, gentlemen and ladies?
Happy Civil Service Day to India.
I guess before anybody points this out, yes, I am aware that I promised I would make a Final Fantasy VII video today, and I was actually working on it up until this little bit of Final Fantasy 15 news came out, and I figured might as well talk about it, even though my last video was about 15, and I don't really like making two videos in a row about the same game. Might as well, while I'm here, you know, well, why the hell not? So all of this news actually comes from a recent interview with Tabata, as well as some other people from the team, specifically Sawatari and Shida, which I'm sure all of you guys know exactly who those are and what they did for Final Fantasy 15, right? Right? Of course. Now, this interview was actually quite lengthy and a lot of stuff came out of it, but in particular, there was 3 points that I wanted to bring to you guys' attention just because they're the more major ones in my opinion, I guess. However, if you guys would like to see everything that they talked about, I'll leave a link to it in the description, I guess. As per the usual. Anyway, so the first thing that I wanted to talk about actually had to do with one of people's biggest complaints when it came to Final Fantasy 15, and that was the off-road driving with the Regalia. Because at first glance, Final Fantasy 15 may have seemed like it would be, you know, similar to Grand Theft Auto with the cars, and you can drive anywhere and do anything and like wreck the car if you wanted to, but you actually really can't. I mean, you can wreck the car once you get the flying Regalia. In fact, I'd say it's a little bit too easy to do so, but you know, just driving the car itself, you couldn't really do that because you were kind of stuck to a linear road. And it's not until late game where you get the upgrade for the Regalia that lets it go faster, and even then the car's really not that fast. And add to that the fact that there's no major cities in Final Fantasy 15, at least not ones that you can take the car to, and you pretty much had a pretty disappointing vehicle system in general. However, not too long ago, and some of you guys may remember me talking about this in a video, they did show off footage for a possible off-road Regalia driving aspect, I guess, to Final Fantasy 15. Now, this was actually shown off on a PC build of the game, so at the time, you know, PC Final Fantasy 15 off-road driving, they kind of seemed like they weren't really going to happen anytime soon. Especially because Tabata and the team said that these were just concepts and that they weren't necessarily going to make it into the game. However, in this interview, Tabata did say, and I quote, "We now have an idea of when we will be implementing the off-road Regalia and free driving." And in typical Square Enix fashion, they said, "Please look forward to further information." I honestly do really hope that this is actually a joke within all of the developers of Square Enix, that they have to say, please be excited, please look forward to more information at whatever event, at pretty much every single interview or presentation that they do. I just love the fact that that's so consistently always there. But yeah, apparently now they have an idea of when they want to implement this into the game, presumably added in a future update, I don't know. So far, we've been pretty consistent about getting one major update for Final Fantasy 15 every month since it came out, literally. If I had to take a guess, I would say that this would be the equivalent of the March update that we got, obviously, in March, except a June update, which will be when episode Prompto is coming out, and the release of those two could line up like the March update did with the release of episode Gladio. Although that's just me, I don't really have any evidence to back that up. It could really come out whenever they feel like it, to be honest with you guys. But I'm honestly really thankful that they're finally going to have this. If I had to take a guess, I would say it's probably also going to be an update that you get to the Regalia, or an upgrade, I should say, not an update. The game will have an update that will give you the upgrade. Yeah, because if you actually look at the footage, the Regalia had like these not full-on monster truck type wheels, but they were sort of leaning in that direction. So I'm assuming that that's going to be an update that you can get for the car, or an upgrade. God damn it, that's going to be an upgrade that you get for the Regalia at some point in the game. Maybe it's one of those parts that you have to go find and then give to Cindy and she'll give it to you. I don't know. Just hopefully it's not as glitchy as it currently was, because even when they were showing it off in the presentation, if you guys recall, the Regalia kind of got stuck on a rock, which is not that good when you're trying to sell this concept to people. But I mean, hey, they've done it before. If you guys recall, originally we weren't going to be able to warp outside of battles in Final Fantasy 15 because it would cause too many glitches, but they ended up implementing that in the game, so if they could do it for that, I don't see why they couldn't do it for the Regalia. Moving on to the second topic, Cerberus. Once again, this was shown off during one of the tech demos for the game, a fight with Cerberus in Final Fantasy 15, and the fact that they actually bothered to make a model for him, make moves of him and put him in the game, even if it was just for a demo, means quite a lot. So obviously people have been wondering if this is going to be included in the game in some way, shape, or form, just to have, I guess, more optional bosses for after you beat the game, because I just loved fighting Adamantoise so gosh diddly darn much. But best fight, 10 out of 10. Would fight again with the ring magic, totally. And I guess this is like a very generic, very traditional Square Enix Tabata type of answer, but he basically just said there's no plans for it currently, but if people want it to be in the game, then we'll add it to the game. All I really gotta say to this is,
to be honest,
yeah, being 100% real.
I was expecting more.
But no, I mean, they mentioned it, which at the very least should mean something for the possibility of the boss fight ending up being in the final game, or in an update for the game, not the final game, because the final game already came out, and it's not, you guys know what I mean. They also went into how, like, you know, Cerberus being in the game could possibly open the doors to more Kingsglaive enemies ending up in Final Fantasy 15, like, I don't know, the Diamond Weapon, which would be pretty cool. And even hearing the interview, they did agree that fighting the Diamond Weapon in Final Fantasy 15 would be pretty cool, and of course, it would actually implement some of the stuff from the dreaded Omen trailer for Final Fantasy 15, which, if you guys recall, ended up having absolutely nothing to do with Final Fantasy 15, which everybody was just so happy about. Just a bag of disappointments that Tabata was, eh? And finally, perhaps the most important thing to come out of this interview, at least in my opinion, is even more evidence that we might be getting other character DLC episodes in Final Fantasy 15. Now, I've actually mentioned this in quite a few videos in the past, as well as made an entire video dedicated to it when we got hints that this could possibly be happening. If I recall, that last time was also from an interview from somebody asking a person from the team in Final Fantasy 15 if they had any plans for future character DLCs, and they mentioned that they know a lot of people are interested in it, and it was basically just a repeat of that answer, but in this time they specifically pointed out 3 characters. They said that they are aware that people have been asking for Luna, Arden, and Aranea DLC episodes, and I do remember Aranea coming up last time. I don't know, I honestly have not heard that many people ask for Aranea DLC. I think it might just be like an internal Square Enix thing. I'm sure people want it, don't get me wrong, but just why? It's not really an important character, but Arden and Luna I could definitely get behind. As I went into in that one video, not to repeat myself in this one, but basically having Arden and Luna DLC could give so much backstory to Final Fantasy 15 and put so much of the actual good, in my opinion, plot into the game that was not included in it. Because as we all know, Final Fantasy 15 was not the story of the World of Verses, but it was rather the conclusion to the story of the World of Verses, half of which was included in other media or just not included in anything at all. Remember that time that they wrote backstories for each of the characters and they were just gonna let them rot in like Microsoft Word documents in some computer in Tokyo? That was fun. Thank God for Brotherhood, am I right? Now, of course, once again, nothing was confirmed from this interview in terms of the DLC itself. In fact, they actually went out of their way to say that even though they do know people want these, there is currently, once again, no plans for anything like this, a sort of Season 2 or Round 2 of DLC, whatever you would want to call it, for Final Fantasy 15. Now, the interesting bit about this that I remember them mentioning is the fact that Final Fantasy 15's current Season Pass is actually called Season 1, which is a very odd name for something that is not really planned to have any further seasons. Like, you would think it would just be the Season Pass for Final Fantasy 15, not Season 1 Pass, which is kind of weird. Kind of makes you wonder if there's going to be a Season 2 at some point down the line, you know? But I guess only time will tell. Be sure to let me know in the comments, guys, which character you would want to see DLC for in Final Fantasy 15, and if you're excited to get to fight Cerberus in the game, as well as finally getting to drive off-road in the Regalia. Pretty cool stuff in store for Final Fantasy 15. As usual, you guys can expect me to cover any future news for the game, but I guess with that, that is all that I have for you guys today. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to blitz that like button, subscribe as always. Stay tuned for all things Final Fantasy! See you guys.